Hello again, everyone. We are back on stage this time with Carole Davies-Filleur from Accenture. You are the sustainability and technology lead at Accenture. We also have Hervé Dumas, who used to be group CTO for L'Oréal until very recently, and you changed for a completely new group, new position, sustainable IT director, because L'Oréal is investing a lot in its sustainability. And then we have Patrick Devis from Belfius. You are the CIO at Belfius. Thank you very much for joining us. And also, I must thank you personally, Patrick, because you accepted kindly to become the president of the board of our association in Belgium, so the Belgian Institute for Sustainable IT. I will indeed. So I will not spend a lot of time about talking about your CVs, etc., because otherwise, with your experience, I think that we could spend the whole session just on that. So if you allow me, I will start with a few questions. Don't hesitate to raise a few questions in the chat. I will try to follow the chat at the same time in parallel. I'll start with a question for Hervé, because there's something special about your position. As I mentioned, you joined L'Oréal in January last year as a group CTO. One of the things that attracted you there, as far as I know from our discussions, was that there was sustainable IT within the responsibilities that you had there. It was already an important topic in your previous job as CTO at Veolia. I was wondering, at L'Oréal, before you joined, actually, do you know what started the reflection about sustainable IT? Did it come from top management, from the CSR officers, from IT? How did it come?
Oh, there is no one single source, obviously, and fortunately. It's a combination. It's a combination of movement, of concern, analysis, trends. Obviously, it's a company subject for a long time, with different kind of strategic program starting years ago. In 2005, on some area regarding production and distribution center, the plants, the distribution center, and much more. And from time to time, there is a kind of expansion and analysis of the subject. Obviously, always working on science-based target in the ways of working, company culture, and to well define as well as possible what are the levers within an enterprise, with a kind of business, with a kind of geographical footprint, etc. What must be achieved to allow, let's say, a sustainable way to operate in a safe operating model within the planet limit. That's the key. And as it is true for L'Oréal, but it's I think that Carole will confirm that it's true for all and every enterprise, as the let's say IT and tech capabilities are more and more embedded on all and every area of the value chain. It's bigger and bigger, more than ever important during the let's say this pandemic situation and COVID crisis, but it's just an illustration or an acceleration of this trend. So it's a combination. Even if it is, let's say, to be fully honest, and it's normal, and all the experts that have shared some deep knowledge during the previous session confirm that it's something that is still a little bit new for the IT community. We want to accelerate. The decade is really key, also for this subject, for all and every subject, but also for this subject. And part of this acceleration is the ambition to onboard all and every IT expert, employees, whatever is the, and it is not only on the environmental axis, but also on the social one.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, what's interesting, and we have a good comparison between two completely different types of companies, a bank with Belfius and L'Oréal, where you've got industrial processes first and foremost. In your case at L'Oréal, the percentage of IT compared to the total footprint is of course minimal, but nevertheless there's clearly this decision by top management that every department must reduce its footprint. There's nothing can stay as it is, if I may say.
Yeah, exactly. The shift is for everybody, and there is an understanding of the, let's say, the capability to succeed will come from, let's say, a combination of movement, of awareness and knowledge. Obviously, it's part of the program also, and based on this awareness and knowledge, the movement will be created with all and every contributors within the organization, obviously. But when we look at the IT world, there is also, within the strategic axis, the capability for enterprise to empower the ecosystem all together. And I love the quote or the slide presented a few minutes ago regarding the capability of human beings to achieve great things. If we look at the past 10 or 20 years regarding the ICT world, the expansion, the industrialization, the incredible innovation and capability to move in a way this digital world at scale, something very unique in our history, the scale of digital, and the capability to have to provide performance and incredible services for billions of users. If we use all this expertise, this knowledge, and sometimes we have seen this morning with the eco-design session, but sometimes you need a very, very deep tech knowledge for being able to address some subject. All this knowledge must be combined to address a complex situation. It's true that it's quite complex, and for being able to scale one by one solution that can be affordable, achievable in our context.
One of the complexity, you mentioned the technical capacity, but there's also the decision making from top management. Carole, if I may ask you, I know that Accenture conducted last year a European study about the adoption of sustainable IT by organizations, all types of organizations. And would you say that senior management, and more particularly IT management, is well informed about its impact, the potential benefits, and what were the key lessons that were learned from this study?
It's very heterogeneous. There is a raising information that is shared that digital has both a dark side and a bright side. So it's more and more known that we have in the digital sector a huge responsibility in terms of GHG emissions, in terms of energy consumption and other environmental topics, but also, of course, social and ethical topics, as Hervé mentioned. So that is well known. It's more and more known also, and there is a willingness within the IT teams to serve the digital, not only the digital transformation, but the twin transformation, digital plus sustainable transformation. So this is more and more shared knowledge. Now, there is the challenge of training teams. It's a transformation topic. So you need to train teams to put in place new governments. There is this notion of, do you want to have a dedicated team on sustainable IT? That's the choice of L'Oréal, or is it a federated network? There is the topic, as Hervé mentioned, of working in a different manner with the ecosystem. So there is all these transformation topics, and obviously also get the right tools and so on. So what we have seen in our study is that the companies that are embarking this twin transformation, digital plus sustainability together, are the most competitive and the most impactful ones.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, I'm turning to you. At Belfius, quite different company, as you mentioned, a bank, and where IT is actually probably the third emitter after transport and buildings. what was the trigger for Belfius to start with sustainable IT? And did you, well, when you want to do a transformation, you can always either look at it as a big scale thing or start with a small scale pilot in a single department. What did you choose to do? And how did you integrate that into the CSR strategy at Belfius?
Okay. A lot of questions. First of all, the sustainable approach was already there in the company when at IT we decided to join. So it's something that bigger companies do for a while right now. And at the beginning, I'm quite sure most of them did for marketing purposes. That's quite clear. And you feel that what has been marketing has now become a genuine questions companies are asking themselves and feeling their corporate responsibility really. And so we already have also that kind of an approach and going from more something which is just we do what's necessary to be able to put it in the different reports we have to make, and we came to but it's a real topic, and so that real topic was already on the agenda. We have had for some times the different goals that we were having as a company, and in the last months the company decided of 10 different goals it could have, and we as IT we did quite easy. We translated each of these goals to the way IT could support these goals, because indeed we are not an industry, so IT is a real high contributor to greenhouse gases emissions. If you look at what we are using by ourselves, we're indeed a huge contributor. But if you look at what our customers are using via our mobile app, for as an example, then we are by far the biggest contributor to GHG in the company. And then I come back to what Tanguy said. It's just thinking that internet and my mobile are free, and so yes, our customers look for their banking applications on the average 34 times a month. Mm-hmm. I'm sure nobody has any use of looking at it so much times a month, but on the average they do. There is something like it's free, so let's use it, which means that we do have to dimension servers and systems on a very high level, which means that yes, we contribute a lot. So mm-hmm. it was very clear for us to have IT to contribute to that, because we were high contributors, and it was also very easy to translate corporate goals to IT goals, as simply said.
Okay, thank you. I know that you decided to assign dedicated resources. Would you recommend for large organizations, because that's what we're talking about, to assign really specific dedicated resource, or just a percentage of the resources of different people? And also, what kind of external support have you identified as necessary to succeed when you're a large organization?
Oh, I think you need both. You need dedicated people. Otherwise, your stand-up people, if I can call them like that, your stand-up people, they have lots of things to do. So they have to be encouraged. They have to see the light. They have to be informed about what's doing. They have to get the necessary means. They have to get the necessary information. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you need persons and people who have only one task in their job description, which is working for a better, sustainable company. So I think it's very important to have those persons who are dedicated, but they just can't move the company by themselves. They have to take with them the whole bunch of the company. And to do that, most of the time you need to have eye openers. Mm-hmm. Having people to understand that what they do first has impact, and second, that they are not doing it quite right at the moment when you look at that specific aspect. Of course, we're very happy of our app, but we never looked significantly at the way it's produced in GHG. Mm. Now that people become aware of that, they begin changing. So the first thing you have to do is to measure. In Dutch, people say meten is weten, measuring is knowing. as long as you don't have done that, you just cannot inspire people to have the idea to change. And in doing that, you know, Olivia, your the metrics that companies like yours are able to provide are very useful, of course, because they give you the mirror you need. And sometimes looking in that mirror is, it's not that fine. It's not Snow White telling you that you're the most beautiful in the country.
Mm. You mentioned earlier in the previous answer about Hervé, you wanted to react?
Just thanks, Patrick. I fully agree with you. When it is feasible for an organization, at least during this period of time, for the proper initialization, awareness, obviously, training, learning, support also, it's good to have dedicated time and so dedicated people when it is feasible on this subject, because the initialization is key. And part of the mission of these dedicated resources is obviously to broadcast and to enable the execution at scale embedded within all and every IT sites, activities, and it's a change, an additional, let's say, expertise that must be combined with the existing one regarding all on every aspect of our activities, not only the development, the run, the support, but also the contract management, the vendor management, the purchasing, etc., etc. It's a very rich area, and the capability to interact with all stakeholders, internally and externally, is really key during this phase.
If I may,
yes, Carole, go ahead.
If I may, Olivier, I completely agree with both of you, Patrick and Hervé. And my experience is you need 4 elements in your organization. You need a core team, dedicated team for all the reasons you mentioned, for sure. The transformation needs dedicated people. You need the federated network, so to make sure that all the organizations are part of the transformation. I'm adding 2 elements. One, mindset shifters. I can see people, any kind of experience level or management level or not, they are knocking at the door. They say, I want to be part of it. How can I contribute? And how can I help? I know stuff. I've been learning stuff on my side personally. How can I help? Mm-hmm. Those, and maybe that's what you call eye openers, Patrick. So we also try to organize this group of mindset shifters. And last but not least, I believe you need top management and people at someone that is nominated, incentivized, and have the mandate at the top, board that is responsible for sustainable IT.
You've touched 2 points that are appearing in the chat and in the Q&A, because there's the 2 of them. So one of the points you mentioned was the enablers. On the contrary, Simon is asking, do you face people that are rejecting or do not understand the sacrifices that it may imply? I don't know who wants to answer to that one.
Of course there are, but you know, it's so difficult to be against something like that, and the number of persons which are pro that kind of approach is so huge that, one, you don't hear them much, and 2, they don't have real power to break down the project or to bring its pace to a lower gear. It's one of the there are not so much projects in which you feel such a low resistance to change. Mm-hmm. It's really something people feel they need to do, and the ones that don't feel it don't dare to say it.
Okay. So nevertheless,
they're flowed away.
Nevertheless, I don't know if Hervé and Patrick, you will recognize that in your companies. What I hear sometimes is, I love what you're talking about, Carole, but guess what? My KPIs, are not yet aligned. I don't have the time for it. So how can I do that on top of what I'm already doing and supposed to do and incentivized to do? Mm-hmm. So, and the second thing is, it goes with it. How you move to the willingness and then engaging the teams and so on. and having also the investment that goes with it. Because, you know, sustainable IT is like any other transformation project. You need money, you need tools, you need time, you need money. So the thing is how you allow all of that ingredients, not only the good willingness, but the time and the money.
And I guess that for that you need to involve management
and for the proper transmission of these new ways of working. But it's true that it's a combination of factors, including the subject of the new kind of KPI, new kind of objective, and it's a company movement. What I like a lot within the approach within my organization, it's really a company ambition. The umbrella is called L'Oréal for the Future, and there is some really key target at the heart of the business regarding product, raw materials, etc. And the IT is within this movement, and it's key also to create the link between this community inside the organization and the métier, the businesses, to start to, on this area, speak the same language.
There's one question which directly relates to that, and I'm not sure that Patrick and Hervé will be in a position to answer because of the fact that your companies are pretty much directly involved in that. But Carole, there's a question about how do you convince management of that need? And maybe you can also reply in case you would not be convinced, Patrick and Hervé. Many people in the room are actually in the teams, and they would like to convince their management that something needs to be done. And it's very difficult to change the objectives that you get, etc., if your management is not aligned.
So I have two magic sticks. One is to have them engaged personally, facing the facts, the scientific facts. And we've chosen to deploy at Accenture very largely what is called the climate fresque or climate collage that is created by a French NGO and deployed widely in France and now beyond. It's gathering the scientific facts of the IPCC. And there has been, you know, the report that has been issued in August in a very fun, interactive way. And for the top management, there is a before and an after, even a 2-hour session of this. Because you see the facts, you have this punch in your stomach, seeing the reality of what the scientists are telling us for the last decades.
And you mentioned the climate college, so la fresque du climat. There's also la fresque du numérique, the digital college.
Yeah, exactly. And we created on our side green IT awareness sessions focusing like la fresque du numérique on this. So first of all, there is this top management needs. I mean, obviously, if it's human beings and if they are engaged, they see in personal interest in it, that's number one. The second magic stick, of course, is to talk core business. So to talk what's the financial analysts, how the financial analysts are seeing the company based on the ESG results, and what's the risk of not reaching the commitments that the top management has already often taken. If I take, I'm working, for example, with Renault right now. Luca Di Meo has said, okay, here is the climate change, here's the target. Guess what? If they are not going to reach those targets, the financial analysts will take that into account. So we talk business, we talk about financial analysts, we talk about obviously consumers, how this is moving. We talk about employees, you know, go back to employees who now, brand new, coming out from engineering school or management school, you know, they are willing, the young people, they are willing to embark. And even me, I'm 15 years old, I don't want to work for a company that has no care about the environment and how my kids and myself are going to live in 10 years from now. So top management, make them feel, and second, put the business facts in front of them, specific to the industry and specific to their particular business.
Thank you. Patrick, to change a bit of subject, on Tuesday evening, there was a conference at Louvain-la-Neuve organized by our partner, the doctoral school on sustainable IT, and with Alternumeris and others. And one of the questions that was raised by one of the audience was about a French bank, but the argument could be questioned about any bank. He said, yeah, it's very good that this major French bank is doing green IT and reducing its own footprint, etc. But they are still investing so much on like petrol industry and so on. Is it worth doing green IT when you are a bank compared to the investment and actually green finance, as it should be in this case?
I think it's definitely worth it, because you also try to make steps forward in green financing. Most of companies are now describing new goals in terms of sustainable financing, and sometimes it's quite difficult to explain to people. Nowadays, let's take a quite a controversial example. Total, it's quite a controversial company. Would you grant some money to Total? It's quite difficult. If you do, then yeah, you will be seen as the one who is granting money to Total. But if not any company does, then Total first will run bankrupt. But second, you will not give them the chance to really change what they're doing. And most of those companies are also embracing some kind of a green transformation. So what you see more and more is that that credit granting is done subsequent to some conditions, and that banks are still financing Total, but only for its ecological transition. That they don't finance anymore the traditional activities. Of course, when you look at the balance sheet, the thing you see is a credit of 10 million or 10 billion to Total, but you don't see what it's aimed at. And that's what you see happening today is also from the European Central Bank a real push, and also from a regulatory point of view, a push to have banks using their balance sheets to push in the direction of more sustainability. And banks do have a lot of new constraints, and do have a lot of new reportings they do have to produce to ensure that they're really using their huge balance sheets and their huge lending and borrowing possibilities to organize it in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. And it's Total Energy now.
Yep. Yeah. Indeed. What I've noticed by talking to different companies is that the companies who are actually doing something and really embarking into sustainable IT, most of them are not publishing about it. They have a couple of sentences here and there, but they don't advertise about it because there's kind of a fear of being of talking about greenwashing or something like that. And actually, more and more companies are really trying to achieve something and then be able to talk about the results rather than just saying we've started doing something. But one of the counter examples that I've seen is that CSR, generally speaking, is not taken into account at decision-making level, at senior and media management level. I'll take a simple example, but I've got several. Like, for example, there was a decision to reduce the budget for company cars in a very big company in Belgium. Nothing was discussed about environmental. It was just for financial reasons. And then in the CSR report, it was transformed into a reduction of CO2 emissions. How do you see in your own companies, Hervé and Patrick, and Carole, maybe at your clients as well, do you see that CSR starts to become a decision factor with a specific weight in decision-making processes?
I think that it's part of the shift because, let's say, within this decade, we are entering into the understanding of there is no more economic value without value, sustainable value. It's no more possible. And this understanding for all and every kind of activity within the enterprise is, as I say in introduction, a journey. It is not from yesterday to today. It's a journey. So it is the reason why let's say, part of the plan, the awareness, upskilling of all and every métier, and not only IT, is really key to share common understanding of the risk explained by Carole. We are at risk globally. We know that. We have to believe what we know in terms of is the reason why science-based approach is really key. We have to believe what we know. As you explained, Olivier, if I use the area of L'Oréal, my enterprise, what we are able to measure today in terms of IT footprint is not that big compared to the global footprint, including scope 3 of the company. It's quite normal. Nevertheless, as it is embedded and that is key in terms of ambition to create the beauty of the future and to be the company of the future in a sustainable manner, and we have a decade to achieve that, it is more and more seen as a critical resources. And we have seen during the previous session of the day that for this understanding, from upstream to downstream, we have to move from an area, I know a little bit, enterprise, large organization and the ecosystem. We have focused during years on our, let's say, usage to optimize the cost, the performance, the availability, in a way, trying to optimize the added value of the information system within enterprise and to manage the expansion, the growth. For being able to decouple the growth from the impact, and this equation is quite complex, and it's the reason why I think that it is really a journey with an iterative approach that what can be achieved in short term, what could be the target on long term. It is the reason why it's quite complex to provide, let's say, dedicated target on IT for a long time. I think it will be iterative target and objective to make some progress, because progress matters a lot. One-size-fits-all solution does not exist as far as I know for IT. So it's a combination of movement, progress, fighting against a kind of obsolescence and obesity that exists within enterprise information system. Whatever is I know quite a lot of information system. There is always, at different scale, a kind of obesity. It could be addressed on the data subject. It can be addressed on all the capability for DRP, backup, the example of usage of data, real usage of data compared to the amount shared this morning. Even if it is a big order of magnitude, we know that more or less it's true everywhere at different scale. It's valuable to address that. The tricky subject of the multiplication of devices and the lifetime of devices, that is not only linked to hardware quality, but also linked to what has been explained also on some session, to software, starting by the operating system and all the layer of different kind of software and associated life cycle, because the target and eco-design principle can ease also all the life of all the ecosystem if we are able to do the shift. And globally, this ecosystem have to move to a business model based on volumes to something else, much more circular, and it will take time.
Carole?
I have an example where I can see that sustainability is already part of the decision in the IT sector. Maybe people are connected from SNCF, but have received an RFP where the French railways say your sustainability explanation, how you embed that in your digital services is going to weigh 20% of how you are rated overall. The price is 30%. So we are beginning to see in decision making, in selecting IT partners, a significant weight on how sustainability is embedded. And we've decided, to embark on a sustainability by design just exactly to meet this requirement, our target at Accenture is each and every proposal we make will embed sustainability by design.
Mm-hmm.
Whether
and
it's
the French government is also starting to push.
Exactly. I was going to talk about that. The roadmap that the French government has issued, the roadmap for digital and environment, is clearly mentioned that each and every public city, public sector should include that in their RFP. Now, if we enlarge the scope and go into the business as a whole, the issue is, do you have the real data to make decisions taking into account sustainability? If I am in procurement, if I am in supply chain, do I have in my tools at the same place demand management, time, financial KPIs, and sustainability KPIs? And that's where us, IT, we can also help the entire business to bring the right data at the table, at the right table for decision.
Indeed. Also, there's a lack of offering even within IT. I discuss regularly with people from several companies in Belgium, like transport companies, etc., and they try to apply green IT purchasing principles or sustainable IT principles. And the problem that they find is that there's not enough providers with a good offering. So even if you put a weight on that, but everyone is at zero, it doesn't make much a difference yet. Slightly different question. I don't know for anyone who wants to answer. Did you already implement, or Carole, did you see at clients implementation of a cost of emissions like Solvay? I know they do that. For every project, they estimate the emissions that they will produce, and there is a cost associated to that. Do you have something similar, and do you feel that the cost associated is sufficient to make a difference in the decision-making process? So it's really in euros. They price the emissions in euro at Solvay. So the chemical Solvay, not the yogurt.
Yeah. So I've seen that at some clients, not that many, and it's purely internal. So there is, as you were describing, an internal price of carbon footprint of CO2 to CO2 equivalent. But I mean, this is still we think it's still to be tested and so on. I was discussing with the head of ADEME. So ADEME is the national agency in France regarding the environment and the energy management. He was saying that he doesn't believe that there will be a significant change of habits if we do not include a price signal, or a cost signal, if we do not embed that. And that's I think the challenge we have in front of us is taking both at the same level, converting everything, financial KPIs and CSR KPIs, and in particular carbon footprint, into the same language to take decisions with everything, finance and non-financial elements all together.
But I
don't fully agree with that point of view, because it's like saying you can translate everything in money. Of course, in a company, you can also lay off 50% of your personnel, putting it in a business case and saying, okay, it's so much millions of euros, so the business case is still okay, so it's fine. It's not fine. It must be seen as something that has to be reduced, not regarding the cost. Otherwise, it's just too easy. It's like paying to offset your emissions. Okay, go ahead, pollute. You just have to pay the money. I think that's not it's not giving the right mindset. It gives the mindset that money can offset everything, which is clearly not the case.
But that's great, Patrick. But look at the individual stage. Yes, there are people, because that's the same. We individuals take decisions every day, whether I buy a car or a machine with the lowest price, or whether I take all their considerations in. And there will be people that say, yes, I want to very much take qualitative elements in play, and those who will focus only on price. So I think I agree with you that in a perfect world, there are qualitative elements and such huge, impactful elements should be taken into account without any conversion. But guess what? I'm afraid in some cases, and because we need to embark everyone, all types of companies, then the conversion might be helpful for some types of decisions.
I can just use a small example. We launched at the beginning of the summer a new platform for brokerage, trading on stock exchanges. And what we do in that platform is each time you want to buy a company which we evaluate it's not sustainable, you get a huge pop-up telling you, you shouldn't do that. And these are the reasons. Okay, if you want to do it, we cannot refrain you from doing. Go ahead. But I feel this has a lot more impact than just saying, if you go for that kind of thing, you will not pay €5 for your order. You will have to pay 7 or even 15. I think we are still in a moment where, and we see it by ourselves, when our consciousness of what are the consequences of what we're doing, this consciousness is not always there. Sometimes having someone ringing a bell for you and showing you it makes a difference. That's very important.
And next to that, probably there will also be some sort of taxes, etc., shift that will start imposing on us the fact that we need to change our business models. We are coming close to the end of the session. I don't know if one of you has a key message that you still want to pass.
Julie Sweet, our CEO, and our company is 500,000 people or more. She has to say, she said she used to say every business is a digital business. So we knew the digital transformation. Now she says, every business is a sustainable business.
Nice one. Hervé, would you have a...
I'm very positive in a way, not when I look at the situation of this IT world and all the chain from upstream to downstream, that's the situation is that really at risk and linked to the volume and the projection of the impact of the continuous expansion and at an incredible pace of the digital world. Nevertheless, the very positive thing for me is I really believe that this is a fantastic challenge, opportunity for this IT community based on their knowledge, their capability to change also. If we look at the past years, the capability to change, to address new way to deliver, to onboard, for insignificant movement, for the move to cloud, for example. That makes sense in a way because it's a shared infrastructure that you can share with others and do not use only dedicated and private resources. And you can imagine new design based on the scalability, the automatic, the elasticity of an information system will be key for the coming years, for being able to deliver the expected business value only when it is necessary, only when it is used, with the appropriate performance and capability to compute and to scale down when it is no more use. For example, it is a fantastic opportunity for the IT community to review the design of many, many digital services and all the ecosystem. So I'm very positive for this community within enterprise and within the global ecosystem, including, for example, Accenture. It's the opportunity to be at the right place at the right time and to move in a positive way to avoid under-promise, under-deliver, but to move in a positive way, the shift from dealing with these critical resources and continue to deliver the necessary added value capability to the business, because we know that, and it is sharing of a lot of examples during the session, it is really useful for being able to use IT capabilities as it is. We know that. So the more it will stay in a feasible manner, at a reasonable cost. And we have to also anticipate that if we look at the pressure on the electronical component,
Yep.
and tomorrow maybe the energy, the cost of that will change. So enterprise that will be ready, that will know how to deal on infrastructure, architecture, lifecycle management in a better way, they will be in a better economic and business situation in a more sustainable manner. And the social aspect is also something to amplify.
Indeed, I'm sure that we will use this video as a sharing to give to the teams who want to convince their management that they should be moving. Patrick, can I give you the last word of this session?
Oh, yes, of course. But maybe, I see lots of people asking questions in the feed and in the Q&A. I think the time for asking questions is gone. It's behind us. Now the thing is, start with it. Because even if you don't see a business case today, that's most probably because the parameters will change a lot between now and the foreseen horizon. Things will change, and you will notice in a couple of years that not having started yet will have been one of the biggest errors a company could make. So I think it's not the time to ask questions anymore. It's time to go.
Thank you.
And I want to congratulate the ISIT and l'Institut du Numérique Responsable for everything you do. I think if in Europe, in France, in Belgium, and in Europe, we are leading the pack, is thanks to people like you. It's because you create those moments where we can share and we can motivate each other and start together. Patrick, I fully agree. Let's start and let's accelerate.
Thank you very much.
More than true. Key contribution during years for being able to have this discussion like that today.
Excellent, thank you. So we've reached the end of this panel discussion. Thank you very much to the three of you for your valuable experience, sharing all that openly. It was very good. It's time for everyone to go stretch your legs, grab a cup of coffee, glass of water. If you are connected on AirMeet, you can use the networking for the next 10 minutes or so. And for those on YouTube, we will have a new live broadcast that will start in 10 minutes as well. So just go back to the session. And that's, as a reminder, that's the place where you will be able in a few days to watch the replay of all our sessions. There's also the replay of the doctoral school of the UC Louvain. So see you in 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.